The severe beating of former Special Counsel Robert Mueller continued with Representative Jim Jordan as he crushed him with facts. And then he warned the former Special Counsel that he should not worry anymore because Attorney General Bill Barr is investigating his witch hunt. Mueller has been taking a whooping from Republicans for hours and he is starting to look haggard and exhausted at the entire affair. Jordan, Director, the FBI interviewed Joseph Mistay on February 28, 2017. He lied. You point this out on page 133, he also denied and falsely stated. In addition, he admitted 3 times he lied to the FBI, yet you didn't charge him with a crime. Why not? Mueller, did you say 193? Jordan, why didn't you charge him with a crime? Mueller, I can't get into internal deliberations with regard to who would or would not be. Jordan, you charged a lot of other people for making false statements. Let's remember this, in 2016 the FBI did something they probably haven't done before. They spied on 2 American citizens associated with a presidential campaign. George Papadopoulos and Carter Page. They went to the FISA court. They used the now famous dossier as part of the reason they were able to spy on Page for better part of a year. With Mr. Papadopoulos they didn't go to the courts, they used human sources. All kinds. From the moment Papadopoulos joins the Trump campaign you have all these people around the world starting to swirl around him. Names like Halper, Downer, Thompson, meeting in Rome and London. All kinds of places. The FBI even sent a lady posing as somebody else, even dispatched her to London to spy on Mr. Papadopoulos. In one of these meetings Mr. Papadopoulos is talking to a foreign diplomat and he tells the diplomat Russians have dirt on Clinton. That diplomat then contacts the FBI and the FBI opens an investigation based on that fact. You point this out on page 1 of the report. July 31, 2016, they opened the investigation based on that piece of information. Diplomat tells Papadopoulos Russians. Papadopoulos tells the diplomat Russians have dirt on Clinton. Diplomat tells the FBI. What I'm wondering is who told Papadopoulos? How did he find out? Mueller, I can't get into the evidentiary. Jordan, you can, you gave us the answer. Page 192 of the report you tell us who told him. Joseph Misfin is the guy who told Papadopoulos. He professor that teaches in 2 different universities. This is the guy who told Papadopoulos and the guy who starts it all. When the FBI interviews him he lies 3 times and yet you don't charge him with a crime. You charge Rick Gates for false statements, Paul Manafort for false statements, Michael Cohen with false statements, you charge Michael Flynn, 3-star general with false statements, but the guy who puts the country through this whole saga, starts it all for 3 years we've lived this now, he lies, and you guys don't charge him. I'm curious as to why? Mueller, I can't get into it and it's obvious we can't get into charging decisions. Jordan, when the FBI interviewed him in February, when the special counsel's office interviewed him, did he lie to you guys, too? Mueller, can't get into that. Jordan, did you interview him? Mueller, can't get into that. Jordan, is he Russian or Western intelligence? Mueller, can't get into that. Jordan, a lot of things you can't get into. You can charge 13 Russians no one has ever heard, seen, or you can charge them and all kinds of people around the president with false statements, but the guy who launches everything, the guy who puts this whole story in motion, you can't charge him. I think that's amazing. Mueller, I'm not certain I agree with your characterizations. Jordan, I'm reading from your report. He told Papadopoulos, Papadopoulos tells the diplomat tells the FBI opens the investigation July 21, 2016, and here we are 3 years later, July of 2019. The country has been put through this and the central figure who launches it all, lies to us, and you guys don't hunt him down and interview him again, and you don't charge him with a crime. Here is the good news. Here is the good news. The president was falsely accused of conspiracy. The FBI does a 10-month investigation. They want to keep going. Maybe a better course of action is to figure out how the false accusations started. Maybe to go back and actually figure out why Joseph was lying to the FBI. Here is the good news. Here is the good news. That's exactly what Bill Barr is doing. And thank goodness for that. What they're doing. They'll find out why we went through this 3-year saga and get to the bottom of it. Facebook has greatly reduced the distribution of our stories in our readers' news feeds and is instead promoting mainstream media sources. When you share to your friends, however, you greatly help distribute our content. Please take a moment and consider sharing this article with your friends and family. Thank you.